in Mark 11:12-14, we read how Jesus Christ, while they were leaving Bethany, was hungry, and seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to find out if it had any fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves, because it was not the season for figs. And then he said to the fig tree. So, imagine Jesus in front of the fig tree. The fig tree is green and full of leaves. And Jesus says to the fig tree, he was not thinking, but he said, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." So he spoke the ultimate fate of the fig tree, which, although it only had leaves at that time, would very likely soon have fruit. And his disciples heard it. So he said it. He said it out loud. He said it authoritatively. After that, he went to Jerusalem and drove people out of the temple, overturned tables, and chased away oxen. And he did this again because this is the second report of him doing so. And then, when the next morning they passed by that fig tree, they noticed it had withered down to the roots. And Peter remembered Mark 11, verses 20 and 21, and said to Jesus, "Teacher, look, the fig tree you cursed has withered." Why is this part important before we comment on the law? Because according to Peter's comment, in relation to what he saw had happened, and he called it, "You curse the fig tree," we can understand what Jesus did the day before when he addressed the fig tree. He told the green, leafy, living fig tree, "You have died." And that happened. This is not a natural course of events because fig trees do not die like that. This is a divine intervention in the natural law by which the fig tree grows, lives and functions. Who knows when it will die? Figs don't die that easily. Are you getting this? Therefore, according to Peter's comment, we see that what Jesus said happened while it was not yet visible. Moreover, something completely different was visible. And into that which was visible, that which is, he called that which is not as though it were, and it was. And that is the title of this Bible lesson, calling things that are not as if they are. And that is the divine principle of action. That is how God the Father himself acted before Jesus, and then continued to act in, through, and by Jesus, as is clearly seen here. And his plan, as seen from the following words, is that all his true disciples act in the same way. And his plan is that through them all the peoples of this earth be taught, and that all act like Jesus, according to Matthew 28:18-20, in this divine principle. Therefore, Jesus explaining himself to Peter before the incarnation of his word of the fig tree, revealed the law of action according to the divine order, through which we not only can but must activate the same divine power, so that whatever we desire within the divine order comes to pass by our word. And finally, verse 23 concludes, and I will return to verse 22, they will have whatever they say. Thus, Mark 11:22 can be translated as it is usually translated, have faith in God, but it can also be translated, and in this context, this is a better translation, have the faith of God, or believe, or act like God. He says, and it happens. When he says it, it is not there yet. He calls forth by his word that which will be into that which is not yet, thereby into something that is contrary to it. And when he says, have the faith of God, explaining himself, he is actually calling the disciples to act like him. And the example for that, not the only one, but at the time when he explained himself, is what he did to the fig tree. And once he told them, have the faith of God, he then explained exactly what that means. Whoever, therefore, whoever, what Jesus did, how he did it, what he actually saw and heard from the Father, because he did everything in collaboration with the Father. John 14:10-11. He did everything in collaboration with the Father. And that's for whoever, therefore for everyone. But not only that, he expects us to learn that from him because we are disciples, and then to teach all others because we are apostles. When he tells them, have the faith of God, that is a commandment. When he then says what it means to have the faith of God, that is a commandment to us on how we should act in that faith of God. And that is to speak to the mountain wherever we see it. Whoever says, therefore, he said to the fig tree, the disciples heard him. What he said happened, circumstances, facts changed according to what he said. That is how the Lord God acts. Are you with me? To have the faith of God means whoever says to this mountain, rise and throw yourself into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he said will happen, not he thinks. But believes that what he said will happen, will have whatever he says. So Jesus' commandment for us is to act for him, to his glory, and for the benefit of others. To have whatever we say. Thus, by calling things into existence with our words, where those things do not exist, or where opposite things exist. For example, in the case of illness, we do not say, when we are sick, when the symptoms show it to us, when the diagnosis shows it, I am not sick. But into that illness we say, be healed, or I am healthy. Let the weak say, I am strong. Joel 4:10 or 3:10. He speaks into his weakness, I am strong. And if he speaks in such a way that he does not doubt in his heart what he says, but believes that what he has said will happen, he will have whatever he says. which is that he will be strong. See, even in Hebrews, in the famous chapter 11, verse 34, their weakness has turned to strength by faith. So they were weak, but by faith they were strengthened. Are you with me? The way of acting that is commanded to us, which when we adopt as disciples, we must command others as apostles, is that we have whatever we say. We will have it. This is a divine principle. If we train ourselves within that divine law, so that in our hearts we believe what we say and do not doubt, and that is not so difficult if what we say is what he has already said. And that is why this translation is the best, because it says, he believed God who gives life to the dead and calls things that do not exist as though they did. He calls things that not exist, or speaks of non-existent things as if they already existed. This is the commanded way of life for us, and you are obligated to train yourselves in it. This is how Jesus acted throughout his entire ministry. Are you with me?